Hey, I'm Dark North. In this video, I'll be showing you how to build a Ayaka Freeze Team. You can check out my Ayaka build if you want to know how to build her. The link will be in the description. An Ayaka Freeze Team consists of Ayaka plus a Hydra support plus an Anemo support plus a Cryo battery or support. So let's go over those one by one, starting with the Hydra support slot. Now there is no one character that is objectively the best here, as all of them have pros and cons. You should choose based on who you have and what you need from them. First is Mona, who has poor Hydra application as compared to others on this list, but you can still use her to freeze consistently, and it's really not that bad in my opinion. You can check out this video I made on how to improve freeze consistency with Mona and Ayaka if you're having trouble keeping things frozen with Mona. But anyways, back to Mona, she has something that other Hydra characters don't. A damage amp on her burst, which is really good if you're lacking damage to clear the abyss in time. She can also hold Thrilling Tales to give an attack buff to Ayaka, which will significantly increase her damage, as we normally don't run attack buffers in Cryo teams, as the only two attack buffers in the game are Pyro and Electro as of now. Ayato has much better Hydra application on his burst, which has a massive AoE, and his skill is also really good as it works great with Ayaka, as you can use his burst, then switch to Ayaka, use her burst, and then switch back to Ayato and use his skill to keep applying more Hydro until Ayaka burst ends to keep enemies frozen, on top of doing a lot of damage and regenerating energy for himself. The Kamisato siblings actually work really great together. Next is Kokomi, who has great Hydra application and she provides a lot of healing and can also hold Thrilling Tales to buff Ayaka's attack. The downside is her own damage outside her burst is mediocre, but the increased survivability and the ability to straight up face tank due to her healing and basically being able to play a brain dead team in my opinion makes up for it. Xingqiu has great Hydra application. He does a lot of damage on his own and is a pretty good option. It's just that he's basically in hot demand by a million other teams, but if you have him free and he's unused, he's also a great option. And at last we have Barbara, who is the only free option. She has poor off-field Hydra application and has no damage except with Clam set, but she can still hold Thrilling Tales to buff Ayaka's attack, so there's that. Barbara as a free support for Ayaka can work if you have no other options, but she's less consistent in that department compared to previous characters. Now let's talk about Anemo supports. Their main job is to shred cryo resistance of enemies with forward descent. First is Venti. He gives hard crowd control, and Ayaka burst can actually hit enemies in Venti burst, and it is a pretty deadly combo when it works. His passive also refunds swirled element energy, which lowers Ayaka burst cost and makes it easier to cycle her bursts. Kazuha gives crowd damage bonus to Ayaka and thus directly increases her damage and provides crowd control. One thing I have seen and heard is that Kazuha can break freeze if he plunges with his skill, but I don't know for sure because I don't have him, so feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Even if that is the case, you can just not plunge with his E and simply just slowly drop down, so it's really not that big of a deal. Sucrose needs to be C6 to provide crowd damage bonus and otherwise only provides crowd control, as the EM buff does nothing in a freeze team. Jean and Sayu can also work as healers and resistance shredders. Now let's talk about the Cryo battery support slot. First is a special mention, Shenhe. She is a cryo support that boosts cryo damage by a massive amount. While she's not the greatest cryo battery as her own burst cost is high, but she can still be used in this slot. She can also replace the Anemo slot, and some people also use her in place of a Hydra support, though I would not recommend most players to do that, as you lose freeze and you also lose the second half of the 4-piece blizzard set, which is 20% crit rate. Now let's talk about the normal cryo battery supports. Diona is the best option, providing healing and shield on top of being a battery. Because her whole skill shoots 5 paws means you go through 5 checks to proc either Favonius or Sacrificial, meaning you almost always will proc it, which is why she is a good battery. Rosaria provides crit rate to the entire team based on her own crit rate. She also does decent damage and has decent AoE on her burst. Her C6 also shreds cryo resistance. Kaya is a great battery, does decent damage, and his ult revolves around active character, which gives you greater mobility. Ganyu can also work as a support and a battery. Just give her some ER and you should be able to get her burst back consistently. Her burst has a massive AoE, does a lot of damage, and has no downtime as it has the same duration as cooldown. All teammates in her burst AoE also get cryo damage bonus. And that's how you build a Ayaka Freeze Team. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it if you would leave a like and consider subbing to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or corrections, leave them down below in the comments. I am Dark North. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.